Hello everyone. In this module, we will learn about evidence-based teaching. By the end of this video lecture and the assigned reading, you will learn about the different evidence-based teaching strategies and how it can boost your students' results. When educators are using EdTech in the classroom, students can still demonstrate evidence of learning. There have been instances where students' accountability increases with positive learning outcomes as evidence-based teaching integrates teaching strategies guided by the research on how people learn. You are practicing evidence-based teaching if you are engaging your students using active learning strategies. For example, having clear goals in the beginning of every lesson are a great start. If you are giving your students plenty of spaced out practice over time, then they can easily grasp the study materials. Also, it is essential to provide rapid feedback and serve as a facilitator of your discussion in the classroom rather than like a gatekeeper. Besides this, you should also ask a lot of questions to your students and get them working collaboratively in groups so that they can be more productive. I have stated here the top 10 evidence-based practices that are research tested and will produce positive results in your classroom. They will give students direction, encourage higher levels of thinking, and give them some control over their learning. Now, besides the top 10 practices, I want to share with you another important evidence-based teaching and intervention strategy, which you can apply in the classroom. This is called the I do, we do, you do model. This model proposes a plan of instruction that includes demonstration, prompt, and practice for students. This is also sometimes called the gradual release of responsibility model. The first is the I do phase of a lesson, which involves the teacher telling his students what they need to know and showing them how to do the things that they need to be able to do. There are many digital tools out there to help you explain the I do phase of your lesson to the students. For example, for art science class, you want your students to learn about the impacts of climate change, so you chalk down all the impacts on a mind map. Your students will be able to comprehend the lesson better when they see all the impacts stated in one space. You pick one impact from the list and explain them in detail. We do is the second phase that involves doing tasks together. The teacher is more of a guide or a coach to help students try to do it independently, but also there as a safety net. Students will need more than one attempt at practicing with the teacher during this phase. Using the same example I have used earlier in the we do phase, teachers put students in small groups to work together and research about climate change impact. The teacher provides scaffolding as the groups now pick one particular impact and does a web search to learn about it in detail. Group 1 chooses climate change's impact on human health and jots down the important information, facts, and figures on Padlet or other note taking tools. Group 2 chooses to research on climate change impact on animals, and Group 3 works on climate change impact on agriculture and vegetation. They use your explanations and examples from the I do phase as a model answer to gather as much information as possible for their own project in this we do phase. Once students have demonstrated understanding and can independently complete the task, they are moved into the last phase, which is called the you do stage. During this phase, students practice the concept or skill repeatedly until it is mastered with automaticity. Such practice and retrieval help students to retain what they have learned and become fluent with the task. So again, using our earlier example here in the we do phase, students have gained a mastery of knowledge about the climate change impact and also know how to conduct research about the impact and find solution. They can now provide answers to your questions or give assessment on digital tools like Quizlet. At the same time, you can assess them through their digital artifacts. A student may also find solution to the climate change impact and then decide to tell a story through creating an animation movie. Another student may explain the impact and solution to climate change through a poster presentation or other multimedia formats. There are various different ways a teacher can find evidence of their students' learning through these digital artifacts. At the end of the day, your goal from this lesson was to teach your students impact of climate change, conduct research independently, and work in groups as well as find solutions to the problems they find. This is now achieved through using evidence-based learning as well as with the assistance of EdTech at the same time. One thing to keep in mind is in each of these phases of I do, we do, you do, and other different evidence based teaching strategies, the teachers should be checking for understanding and verifying that students are completing the task correctly so that their misconceptions and errors are not being reinforced.